everybody, and welcome back to the Blossom Review. How are you? Today we are reviewing another Korean drama that recently came to a close. We're talking about JTBC's The Dream Life of Mr. Kim, which you can find internationally on Netflix. And don't worry, this review is spoiler free, okay? About 20% of Koreans have Kim as their family name. So Kim Nak-soo, played by the great Seung-ryong, is the epitome of the Korean everyman. A 50-something-year-old who has worked at the same company for 25 years, steadily and confidently climbing the corporate ladder as the years have gone by. He's married to a lovely wife, Park Ha-jin, played by a profoundly charismatic Myung Se-bin, and they have a bright son together, the 20-year-old Seung-ryong, played by Cha Gang-yoon, who attends a fairly prestigious university. Mr. Kim is your everyday Ahjussi, a middle-aged man who grew up in a generation that believed that life was a series of boxes that should be ticked. During Ha-jin and Nak-soo's very first date, he actually mentions to her that he needed to get promoted, buy a house and get married. He should work hard. There is no in between, no diversion. These are the surefire steps a man should take towards becoming a respected member of society, and Mr. Kim takes them very, very seriously. While the series provides these rare flashbacks, just to contextualize the narrative and the character dynamics, we spent most of our time with the current Mr. Kim, a general manager whose next step is a promotion to an executive position. There is no other option. After all, he's been a hard-working employee for over 2 decades, and such a promotion is only logical. We all know a Mr. Kim, maybe as a father or as a husband or as a boss, or maybe you are Mr. Kim yourself. Or maybe you've met a Mr. Kim in a different Korean drama as the protagonist's father or as the protagonist's annoying boss. But in The Dream Life of Mr. Kim, he is the protagonist himself, and what a fascinating main character he makes for, one whose behavior makes us feel awfully uncomfortable and frustrated, but one who also somehow makes us root and cry for him. Flawlessly delivered by the magnificent Ryu Seung-ryong, Mr. Kim is arrogant, proud, controlling, and self-centered at first. He always knows more than everyone. He's always right, and he's always in constant competition against everyone else. But at the same time, there is something good about him. He can be kind and considerate and grateful and dedicated too. For some reason, you can't help but feel sorry for him. But do we feel sorry because he's trying to win against a system that has fooled him? Or because he's naive enough to believe that his ways are the only right ones? Or because he's indeed a tad pathetic at times? Mr. Kim is a complex, multifaceted human being who is a victim of an exploitative capitalist system and a patriarchal society that made him believe this is how he should be. The Dream Life of Mr. Kim is an extraordinary character study that breaks its protagonist to allow him to be reborn. Carefully yet ruthlessly, every single episode gets rid of one layer of his persona until we find his very core. The narrative is meticulously designed by its characters' actions. Everything that happens is a result of Mr. Kim's decisions, and yet Mr. Kim only is who he is and only does what he does because of all the external influences he's received throughout his life. So this is the journey of the dream life of Mr. Kim. Mr. Kim has to learn that life is what happens in between the boxes. But most importantly, he needs to understand whether those boxes were really of his own choosing, or if they are mere goals that society imposed on him. The dream life of Mr. Gim is an incredibly layered human drama, peppered with small interactions that affect the narrative and slowly change its protagonist. Mr. Gim becomes more and more vulnerable with every single installment. He's haunted by intergenerational conflicts, cultural and social expectations, and a system that exploits his dreams, desires, and hard work. What at first seemed to be a black and white existence to Mr. Gim, white or blue collar, civilized or barbaric, arrogance or humility, success or failure, slowly turns into a universe with shades of gray. How does one earn respect from society? Why did Mr. Gim fail even though he ticked all the boxes? Why is office culture so manipulative and fake and inhumane? Why do we go to such unbelievable lengths just to protect our pride? The dream life of Mr. Gim then becomes a painfully realistic portrayal of this capitalist society that preaches eternal productivity, of a fake meritocracy that fools people into believing that dedication is enough, of sexist customs that often go unnoticed, and of the vicious cycles that keep perpetuating these realities. It even broaches how older generations carry this intrinsic prejudice against mental health struggles. Another element that is organically intertwined within the narrative and plays a huge role in the growth of our protagonist as well. Bit by bit, Mr. Gim is invited to revisit his antiquated values and rediscover his identity. After all, who is he without the company or without the pretty titles he yearns for? His sense of self is so profoundly linked to his work persona that Mr. Gim comes to realize that he doesn't know who Naksu is anymore. For this absurd system that exploited him, for the appearances he tries so hard to keep, he's willing to humiliate himself instead of being honest. He's willing to keep piling up problems instead of asking for help. But as his unwavering faith in the company he's dedicated his life to starts to be tested, Mr. Gim starts looking at the world outside the office. He starts noticing the good leaders he can learn from. He realizes how his wife and son have always been those who keep him grounded. He stops seeing his fellow colleagues as cogs in a machine, as faceless everyman, and starts seeing them as people with parents and partners and children, people with simple dreams like his. Because in the end, Naksu's happiness comes from these small pleasures. Having dinner with his family, going for a walk with his wife, having a laugh with a friend. So what's stopping him from living the life that he truly wants? What is it that really matters? The dream life of Mr. Gim answers these questions through an extremely compassionate narrative that acknowledges Mr. Gim's flaws and mistakes and misconceptions, but is also understanding towards his dreams, intentions, and moral compass. He isn't a hero, but he isn't a villain either. He is indeed a product of the circumstances, but he also has agency to go against them. So the final question is, should you watch The Dream Life of Mr. Gim? Easily one of the year's greatest human dramas, The Dream Life of Mr. Gim is beautifully shot and impeccably delivered. Counting on a powerhouse of a cast led by an absolute superstar of a leading actor, this is a series that treats its characters with sensitivity, care, and respect. Even though some of its humor and Seung-ryong's romantic subplot can be quite trite, this is a unique, refreshing, and humane exploration of the life of a middle-aged man who realizes that the world he was sold isn't really the actual world that surrounds him. And as we follow him on this journey towards self-discovery and uprooting of everything he thinks he knows, we are invited to reflect on our own pasts, mistakes, and dreams too. The Dream Life of Mr. Kim is now available on Netflix. Quick reminder that our complete review of The Dream Life of Mr. Kim is now available on the Blossom Review, and over on Substack, this week we reviewed a documentary called Tokyo Ga. I'll leave all the links in the description if you guys want to give them a read. Thank you so very much for being here. I really hope that you like this video and you subscribe so I can see you here every week for a new review. Take very good care of yourself and I'll see you very soon. Big kiss. Bye.